Feeling overwhelmed? Searching for someone who truly gets it? At J. Branch and Associates, we provide mental health support for BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others facing unique challenges. We understand the weight of generational trauma, the struggles of identity, and the pressures of being a part of an underestimated and overlooked group. At J. Branch and Associates, therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We create a safe, culturally aware space where you can feel seen, heard, and understood. Finding a therapist who truly fits you matters, and that's exactly what we're here for. Our team of highly trained licensed therapists bring compassion, empathy, and real-world experience to help you on your journey to healing and growth. We're committed to helping you become the best version of yourself. Ready to take the next step? Visit us at www.drjbranch.com for more information, or call or text 404-436-2540 to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. You can also book your first session today. Thank you for choosing J. Branch and Associates, therapists of color providing exceptional care to BIPOC communities, quality service, exceptional care from authentic professionals.
Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels.
Three Parallel Podcast. Come take this walk with me.
Welcome back to the show. This is the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, we make room for who we're trying to become. And today's show, I got a story for you. I got a story to tell. So buckle up, buttercup, okay? And get your tea, coffee, liquor, whatever drug of choice, because we talked about that you choose. 2 + 2 is 5. And tune in. I got a story, and this story is life changing because it's life changing for me. It can be life changing for you if you're paying attention to the breadcrumbs. So this story begins with the title, Higher Learning. So what is higher? What is learning? What is higher learning? So if anybody know where that came from, you already in for a treat. And where it came from was a movie called Higher Learning. This movie came out back in 1995, and John Singleton was the director of that movie. R.I.P. to John Singleton, because he created something that we can connect to this day. Although that movie came out in 1995, here we are in 2025, 2024, whatever year it is, uh, um, dealing with the same stuff, dealing with the exact same stuff. And what I recognize is the parallels between that movie, that college campus, that experience, institutional racism, and everything else in between. Is still applicable to this day. So art imitates life, and that experience from that movie to real life to where we are right now connects to me and the dots that I want to connect for you. So the first Black male professor I ever saw in life was in 1995. And it was a movie called Higher Learning. And the first Black male professor was Dr. Maurice Phipps. He was a character in that movie. He portrayed a college professor, um, and that was Lawrence Fishburne. So Maurice Phipps played Lawrence Fishburne. I'm sorry. Lawrence Fishburne played Maurice Phipps, Dr. Phipps, and he was the professor of the main character, Omar Epps. Um, and it was a phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen, go see it. It's still one of my favorites to this day because it connects dots. So, first Black male professor I ever saw. Now, all through undergrad, all through my education, I never had a Black male professor, never had a Black male PhD, ever seen one, not touched one, never been in the same room with one. So that was something I never experienced. So I never could see me as a person in that position. And here we are all these years later. I'm exactly that. I am him. Ooh, yeah, I am him. And when I say I am him, I'm not talking about I am Lawrence Fishburne. I'm Maurice Phipps. No, I am the Dr. Jason Branch. Why do you think I say the? Because I know exactly who I am and who I am not. And I know that because of all of my lived experiences, which you are learning the same thing. Now we're just going to be intentional about using these lived experiences to help us help ourselves. So I want to share my story. One of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had related to academia, related to this profession that I ever had, that has helped me become this version of me. So let's dive in. Story time. 1995, Lawrence Fishburne played Maurice Phipps, first professor I ever saw, and that was a character from a movie. The first time I ever saw a real black male PhD was a black male counselor educator at a national conference when I was a master's student. So my first year as a master's student, he's one of the first black males I see because at most helping professional conferences, counseling conferences, regional, state, national, international, they're pretty much the same. And what I mean by that, the dynamics, right? The demographics. Typically looks like a bowl of mashed potatoes with a few speckles of black pepper, a little cinnamon, a little seasoned salt. It's not a lot of color. But it's a little bit of color. It's a lot more color now than it was back in my day. Um, but that experience is what a lot of people of color, specifically black folks, black men, black women who are working towards a degree in counseling education, or anything in the helping profession, that's the norm. So it's predominantly ran by white men, white women. So for me, to my surprise, excitement of seeing this black male who looks like me, and I mean, he clean, he cool, you know what I mean? Dressed well, smells impeccable. This is emotional intelligence at play, you all. Smells good, like got his stuff together, well put together. CV is impeccable. I mean, this brother is bad. I know it and he knows it. And it was the first time I ever had access, to a black male counselor educator. Uh, all these years later, all these years, it's actually 12 years later. So 12 years later, from seeing a movie to seeing it in real life was life changing for me because it gave me permission to let me know, hey, I could do this too. So this brother, this person, I looked him up, being a Googler myself. I looked him up and saw all the accolades and all this thing this brother was doing. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do exactly what he's doing. I don't want to be him. I knew that, but I knew I wanted to do what he was doing. So I reached out. I connected. Hey, brother man, brother man, what's happening? From one brother to the next. It's good to see you in that bowl of mashed potatoes. Glad to see we out here black peppering. I'm glad we out here being black unicorns. I'm interested. I need a mentor. I want to learn. I want to know everything. And he was like, man, cool. I got you, bro. Reach out. Let's connect. Boom. Reached out. Let's connect. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. First connection was a great connection, but that was the last connection. That was great. Was our first interaction. So he made time at that time and we met and he put me on game. And then I followed up and I didn't know it at the time, but I recognized that he viewed me. I viewed him as a mentor. He viewed me as competition. Yeah, buddy. Because sometimes when you are great, other people see it way before you do. Come on with it. I hope y'all with me today. I told you buckle up, Buttercup. We're going on the ride. So he knew who I was before I knew who I was. So there was a divide that happened that I didn't know anything about. So I would follow up with him, shoot emails, schedule meetings, no call, no show. Meetings with me, no call, no show. Or I'll be in the meeting, be in the waiting room, or waiting around to meet. And hours later, oh, my bad, I forgot we had a meeting today. So I was accommodating myself and making myself available for him because I just wanted to learn what he knew. And he shunned me. It felt like I was a pledgee. I was being hazed. So I got hazed intentionally, deliberately. And it was hurtful. I mean, it crushed my soul. It crushed my spirit because I couldn't believe there's somebody that looks like me physically. Like we look so much alike, not look alike, but we're part of the same species. We're black men in the helping profession. Like we are super rare. And how come you won't help me? You doing everything that I want to do and you know how to do it because you've done it and you don't have nothing for me. I couldn't understand it. It crushed me to my core. And because of my own personal trauma, I kept going back. I kept going back, hoping that one day he would give me something. So I kept going back. The abuse continued, the hazing continued. I even asked this brother, hey, man, I want to get my PhD. He said, well, what do you need a PhD for? You don't need that. What's the point of that? Be a counselor, get licensed. You good. This brother told me no, don't get a PhD, even though he had his. And the abuse just continued until I got to a place where it didn't work for me anymore. And I just stopped reaching out. I stopped reaching out. And I just allowed life to be life. And I experienced so much turmoil from that experience because it was so damaging to me as a person, personally and professionally, because I didn't understand it. My gut said, hey, this person may be intimidated. This person may feel some kind of way. That's what my gut said. But my heart said, nah, that can't be it. I ain't got nothing, not even a master's yet. This person got a PhD, practice, and everything else in between. Like, how could I be any threat to anyone? So I thought. So, as I knew within the counseling profession, we were going to cross paths because we're here, bowl of mashed potatoes. So we were going to cross paths because I'm coming, you know? So my energy shifted towards, okay, you won't help me. I'm sure somebody else will, whether they look like me or not. But that was my first indicator that people that look like me, that's in the same profession, helping professionals can hurt helping professionals. That's when I recognized, man, this dog eat dog out here. So my whole mindset changed. It's all about me. How can I make sure I'm good? F everybody else. I don't trust you. I don't care how helping professional you are. I don't care how many books you wrote, how many articles you've cited. I don't care dissertations I don't care anymore about any of that. Because what I recognize is people be peopling. And I don't care how much money you got, what degrees you got. Folks that got stuff that they haven't dealt with, come on, basement. They're going to give their stuff to you. And that's what happened. But I didn't know at the time. I thought it was my fault. I thought I was responsible for being so damn great. It wasn't my fault. So years pass. We see each other in passing. It's love because I would never disrespect his brother in front of anybody because it's only us. It's only us. So I never do that. But it was always like, man, I don't understand. Like, so so we moved to cordial. Now it was just cordiality. Although underneath the surface, I know you don't have me, so I can be cordial. I have enough emotional intelligence. We can just maintain, and that's what we did. We maintained for years, and throughout the time, he kept growing bigger, getting bigger, and doing bigger things, and loved all over the profession. And I'm just creeping up behind, trying to do the same thing, but figuring it out on my own because he wasn't willing to help. But there were others who were. And one of the best mentors I ever had in my life was a mentor who won Mentor of the Year award, a national award by NBCC, Dr. Lynn Wolverine. This brother gave me everything that brother didn't and some. And he gave me the things I didn't even know I needed. This brother gave me life. He revived me. He let me know it was okay for me to shine my light. He let me know it was okay that there was room for me. He let me know it was okay that you are seen, heard, valued, felt, and understood, and you belong right in the seat that you are in. And whenever you get tired of sitting, I want you to stand on tables. That's what this brother gave me. And when you get off that table, turn it over. You want to turn it over and turn it up. He gave me everything. Now, how we connected during the time in my doctoral program, I'm a first year, but I'm grown. Yeah. I'm a first year doctor, but I'm grown. I got my own practice. I got my own license. I've been living. I've been out here doing it. You know, I was very comfortable in me and my own skin. Plus, I had a chip on my shoulder. I had to prove how great I was to myself. So after my first year, life was life, and at the time, and my chair recognized, hey, you need more service. You need more support. You need more assistance. And one of the ways that she let me know I needed more assistance was related to race relations. Being a student at Auburn University, I just want to give you a sidebar. We're going to take a side dive real quick. Being at Auburn University, it's a predominantly white institution in Auburn, Alabama. And being at a predominantly white institution, being a person of color, being specifically Black, we're less than 5% student body. Now, that's even less when it comes to higher education, such as, a master's degree or a terminal degree, such as a doctorate. So I was the only Black male there. at the time. And the only black male before me, and that was in 2015, the only one before me was probably 2012. So we never crossed paths until I saw him at a conference. And the only black male that came after is Dr. Dwayne White, who will be on the show. Um, he came a couple years after I left. So we just didn't have access to black men. And because of my background, we'll learn about later, I didn't do really well in school. So writing was not my forte. I wasn't the best writer. So not being the best writer in a program that requires a lot of writing, I was accused of plagiarism. Accused. And the reality was the person that accused me for plagiarism is one of the people that recruited me to come to the program. They recruited me to be one of the first black men to graduate from this program, amongst the others. But they recruited me to be there. And that same person that recruited me uh, was interested in getting me thrown out of the program for plagiarism. Luckily, my chair, Dr. Melian Rusi, and I'm calling these names intentionally because I don't mind giving people their flowers. So you know the names, you hear the names, you see the names, you see these people, give them love from me and from you because these people changed my life. So Dr. Rusi recognized, whoa, let's not kick the brother out the program. I don't think he's plagiarizing. And if he is, I'm sure it's not intentional. He's probably not a great writer. And she was right. Why? Because she knew me. She knew my story. She cared. She wanted to get to know me as a person, not just as a student. However, the other didn't. I just want you to see helping professionals do helping professionals. So she came in to my rescue, and that rescue is don't kick him out the program, but give him an opportunity to get better. I'm sure it's a skill set issue. So she reviewed my stuff. Yeah, it's a skill set. He's not the best writer. How about we provide some support, such as, hey, you go to the writing center, you do this, you do that. Let's revise, let's revisit, let's learn how to do this. And that's what she did for me. And that's the only reason, in my humble opinion, that I didn't get kicked out of Auburn University after my first year. So once she recognized, wait a minute, everybody's not getting treated this way. She noticed it. She saw it. She didn't say it, but she saw it and I saw it too. So she recommended, hey, we need to get you a mentor that's outside of these walls. And that's exactly what she did. She introduced me to Linwood Vereen. Linwood happened to be a faculty member at Syracuse University. Syracuse and Auburn are not next door. And this brother, so classic. I mean, he's so cool. Like I mentioned, the first guy, we got to find a name for him because we have those types of people everywhere. It's not just here. I just want to talk about my side of it. But we have those people everywhere. And there probably will be a name before we end the show. I'm speaking it into existence now because that's the name we're going to call these types of people. So, Lynn Wolverine, guess what? I'm assuming this brother smelled good. He dressed fly, older gentleman, but cool as all get out, like just smooth and not worried about nothing. 10-year, been in the game for years and don't care. And he gave me permission not to care. Now, when I say this brother don't care, he had one picture online. And it was probably from 95. One picture online. That's it. It was smooth. Like he had the suit on, had a hat in his hand. You probably can find it. One picture online. So that's all I had. So I reached out to him. I called him. And that phone call went for an hour. First call. And we just talked. And he just gave me the world and he just put me on game. He didn't know anything about me. He just knew, yo, Dr. Arusi said you could use some help. And it was done. Me and Lil Wood talked at least once a week for about 6 months before we ever met in person. And all I had was one picture. And every conversation was a phone call, a text, or an email. We didn't even do face. This was before COVID. We didn't even do Zoom. So I didn't know what this brother looked like besides one picture. Now he could be looking something totally different. I don't know. Fast forward. We finally meet at a conference. Are you noticing the pattern here? This conference had a little more color in it because it was the SACES conference in New Orleans, and it was phenomenal. One of the best conferences I've ever attended. Shout out to SACES. And there was an opportunity for me and Linwood to meet. So he said, "You gonna be there?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be there." "You gonna be there?" I said, "Yeah." So we get there. Mind you, I got one picture. And when I'm at the conference, I'm registering. I get finished registering. I'm going down the up escalator. This brother is coming up the escalator. A brother that looked quite familiar. And he looked at me like, I look quite familiar as well. And he pointed at me. I pointed at him. He said, "Jason." I said, "Linwood." "Oh, what's up, baby?" Came back up to the top of the escalator. We gave each other the biggest hug and we embraced for a moment. And in that moment, it was just that energy of, man, I got you. And I'm sorry for whoever hurt you that looked like me. It was such a powerful moment. And it just made up for what I felt at the time. Fast forward, because the profession is so small, the person who shall remain nameless happened to be at this same conference. We happened to cross paths again. And through this connection, we all hung out together. And it was one of the most awkward and uncomfortable experiences ever. But I felt fully protected because here I am with my first mentor and my second mentor. Because understand, mentors are going to teach you something. You learn two things from mentors: what to do and what not to do. And I had both of them there at the same time. And we had a time of our lives. And I didn't allow what happened to me to disrupt what we were doing presently. I enjoyed every minute of it because I knew who I was leaving with. My guy, my guy. So we left that night. It was that morning. We left 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, we got 8 o'clock presentation in a couple hours. And we Cuda Brown, okay? For those who don't know, look it up. Cuda Brown is when you are feeling really good. You are doing really well. Cuda Brown story I'll tell another time, another day. You with me, so you gonna get these stories, okay? I'm just preparing you for what's yet to come. Um, so we both Cuda Brown. We went to a breakfast spot. We were in yeah, regardless of what we were. I think I said it. Don't matter. Anyway, we go to breakfast, and during breakfast, I told him the story of what happened. And I told him who it was and when we were connected. And it was painful for him as much as it was for me because he couldn't believe that somebody that looked like us, that's here to the shit that we went through to get here, somebody had the audacity to do that to you. And I know you, man. And I didn't even know me, but he saw me. And he apologized verbally on the behalf of all horrible helping professionals who hurt helping professionals, because he's not the only one. And from that moment, we never spoke of it again. Never came up again. But Linwood gave me everything I needed and some. Just to give you an example of how much this brother gave me, when it came to writing my dissertation, he invited me to the hotel. His house, called the hotel. So he invited me to the hotel. And I go to the hotel. It's a basement hotel. Basement's the whole house. So he's like, "Yo, you come up here for the week, you know what I'm saying? Hang out. You write during the day, and at night we kick it." And that's exactly what I did. I was in that basement writing, sun up, sun up to sundown, writing, preparing. I'll get with him. He'll get some feedback, some thoughts. Boom, we go upstairs, we process it. We'll have a sip, and we'll talk the rest of the night. And we did that for days on end, and he provided that space for me. And that's part of the reason I got done that dissertation. In addition to that, he graduated from UConn several years prior, and he still had his regalium. And he said, "Man, come on up. Let's try to regale you out." And I'm like, "What?" Say what? Say, huh? He say, "Come on, put the regalia on." For those who don't know, regalia is like your robe. It's the graduation gown that you put on. So he had his from UConn and put it over me. And man, my eyes just welled up with tears. And I'm looking like, droopy, eyes watering. If you bump me, it was over. You know what I'm saying? Cry me a river. JT, like it's over with. Was so emotional because, man, he gave me everything. To this day, it still warms my heart because of what I experienced prior to. So and was like, "Hey, what you wearing for graduation?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm just gonna rent something, nothing big." He said, "Nah, you need to get you some real regalia." I said, "Man, it's about $1,000, man. I ain't got no money for that." He said, "Hey, wait a minute, slow down, brethren. I didn't ask you all that. I said you need to have that." And I'm just still not understanding what he's saying. "Man, I can't afford it, blah, blah, blah." He said, "I didn't say none of that. I said, what are your measurements?" On the spot. "What are your measurements?" "I'm going to get your regalia. I'm going to get your regalia, bro." And him and his partner came down, you know, measure my damn head, my neck, my shoulder. I'm getting measured, full tears. Full tears, getting measured for my cap and gown. And I'm a year away from graduation. We went on Johnson's, ordered everything, got signature. I'm talking about the piping, the gold. I mean, it's custom. He said, "Yeah, man, you graduate with your PhD one time. One time. I can't have you out here with no Walmart special. I can't have it. I can't allow it. Not on my watch." And he bought my regalia for me. And I said, "Man, thank you so much, bro. Like, I can't wait till I make it and I pay, I can pay you back." He said, "Man, there's only one way you can pay me back, and that's to pay it forward. So just get one student their regalia when they graduate." And I was like, done. More tears. Done. And since that time, I've I've purchased 5 doc students their regalia since that time because of Linwood. That's the gift that keeps on giving. And all I ask for those is to do the same thing. And that's the legacy. So if you hear this story, this is where it came from. If you hear the legend, this is where it came from. Linwood did that for me. And on top of that, when it's time for graduation, I thought, you in New York, man, you got time, blah, blah, blah. He was at graduation. And I'm going to share this publicly. Auburn had this whatever stupid rule clause that, anybody can't hood you. It got to be whoever your chair is. And at the time, my chair, Dr. Arusi, left Auburn. I wonder why. But she left, okay? She left. She gone. And I'm like, if my chair not here, she went through the trenches with me, Linwood the next best. I want him. And they was like, nope. You can get this other person, though, that you ain't worked with in the last 4 years, but you can get them. That's what Auburn tell me. Listen, these systems are going to keep systeming, all right, until you decide, man, I'm done. I'm out. It really put a damper on the graduation. I didn't allow it to stay, but it really hurt not being able to be brought in or be hooded by the person who helped me get here, not the person who was a part of the journey or just saw the journey. I feel as though it was unfair, but that's neither here nor there. Unfairity is going to continue to happen as long as there are systems of unfairity. I'm making that word up. Moving forward. So graduation comes. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna be there." And I'm like, "Man, no, don't come down. Just send me a car. Just be in the salamander. Ben, send me a car." This brother showed up from New York to Auburn, Alabama for me and my graduation. And all my family was there. It was the blackest thing you could have at Auburn at the time. And we had a whole section that had cards and posters. My family cut up. Shout out to the fam. They cut up and I loved it. I loved every minute of it because we was black and we was up in there and everybody knew. Everybody was like, "Dr. Branch, that got to be your family. Who else is going to be? Ain't nobody else over here black but me. Who else is going to be? Who else family it is? Yes, that's my damn family. And we represent." He was there. He was there. And it was a great moment. And we've been connected ever since. That was 2018, and we're still connected today. He's part of the reason this podcast is in existence. This brother gave me everything I needed, I wanted, and the things I didn't even know I needed, wanted, or could have. So big shout out to Dr. Linwood Vereen. Thank you, man. I love you, brother. You have changed my life because of who you are. And I hope the whole world gives you your flowers because I'm definitely giving you yours at this time. So let's finish this story because it gets better. So Linwood helped me recognize who I was. I had to overcome who I used to be, and I had to fully embrace who I am. And once I started embracing who I am, because he kind of gave me permission by his own swag, that let me know who I was. So between Dr. Arusi and Dr. Vereen, they woke up a monster. Dr. Kress as well, big shout out. These individuals in higher education, in the health profession, 2 white women, 1 black male, gave me life because they saw me for who I was. They valued me, they respected me, they understood me, they had empathy for me, they cared for me, they provided for me. They helped me become this version because they let me know that I belong, that I deserve, that I'm as good, if not greater. And that's what gave me the confidence I needed. That confidence shifted everything in me where I became a gator. And as that gator, you couldn't tell me nothing at all. So I knew who I was. And guess what? Full circle moment. 17 years later, remember I shared person who shall remain nameless? 17 years later, I finally got a chance to get my revenge. And my revenge wasn't what you thought it would be, but I got to share it. So I'm at another conference, as you know, mashed potatoes. And I so happened to be a speaker at this particular conference. Person that shall remain nameless was there as well. And as I'm preparing for my talk, that I knew he would be in the audience, I decided to change my whole presentation. Now, mind you, I'm on my way from my place to that place thinking I'm going to see this person and I am him now. He's going to have a hard time being around me. Do you know why? Because everything I wanted from him that I wanted to do, I've done it. I'm good at it. I've been doing it for a while. So all the things that I wanted that for this brother to give me, I figured it out and got it for myself. I had help, I had support, but I got all the things I wanted and some. My CV was just as impeccable as his 17 years later. And 17 years later, I finally got a chance to have a conversation because I didn't know the reason why. I didn't know if it was me, but I was in a place in my life where I'm ready to ask some questions. So I already knew before we have a conversation, we was going to have a conversation. However, the old version of me came to the conference. I got to talk about it. I told you, get your stuff together. I hope get your second cup. Okay. Get your second cup. I told you it was coming. So revenge, right? The old version of me came. So the old version of me came, and I see this brother where therefore I know, oh, he's in the building and I'm going to get the chance to speak. So therefore I got to talk about this person who hurt me because I was hurt and I didn't realize I was still hurt by something that happened 17 years prior. So I'm preparing for my presentation knowing that I already prepared for it, but I'm preparing for a new presentation where I made this person the topic, but not particularly the person's behavior. And as I'm preparing myself to have a conversation with this person, I was going to do it on stage in front of everybody to let everybody know who this person was. That's the old me. Because the better me was like, just do your thing and the opportunity will present itself. The old me was like, first off, F yo, in the click you claim, I'm hit him up Tupac. Okay. Go to the playlist, play Tupac, hit him up if you never heard it. That's the energy I was on. I had my AK-47 because it's legal. And I was finna go get him. Bring the chopper. I'm finna chop his head off. But it wasn't physical murder. It was career murder. I was going to murder this person's career. That was my plan. Because of the old me was running the show at this time. The old me was in the driver's seat. The better me was still fighting. Man, I don't think that's a good idea, man. I don't think that's a good idea. Old me, nah, bruh. He said that about your mama. Go get him. It was a fight. It was a fight. Now, so I leave the place to go prepare. And as I'm going to prepare, I'm thinking about all the things that this person did to me over the years, or I allowed myself to do. And man, I cried. I cried. Big boy tears, grown man tears, little boy tears. I cried a lot of different versions of myself. And I didn't recognize at the time because I couldn't stop crying. But I didn't recognize at the time that I was still impacted by what happened, regardless of how great I am now. My degrees and accolades didn't matter. That that boy from 17 years ago was still hurt by the person that he's gonna see momentarily. And with those tears, anger came, and that's when I knew I have I have to do what I have to do. As I'm walking back to my place to get ready to present, I ran into another brother, a great brother, uh, Dr. Michael Hannon. Big shout out to Hannon. And we know each other well. And Dr. Hannon asked, "Hey, Brent, you good?" My eyes red. I just spent the last 30 minutes crying. He had no idea, but he knew something wasn't right. Brent, you good, bro? What's up, baby? Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Knowing I'm finna go here and armor up. And he asked me the third time, Brent, yo, man, yo, you all right? You good? This ain't your normal energy. What's up? And I said, yeah, man, let's talk. So we pulled up to a little coffee shop. And he said, what's going on? And I told him, I shared the story, which he was familiar with. And he said, you're a grown ass man. You're going to do what you need to do. However, I want to ask you a question. And this is where emotional intelligence come in, especially for black men. He had it and I needed it. He said, I'm going to ask you one question. Before you go out here and take this man's career, because you can, have you had a conversation with him yet? He looked me dead in my eye. That was the only question he asked. I said, nah. It was like talking to a big brother. I got all kind of big brothers here. So Hannon asked, you haven't had a conversation, man. You want to consider, just consider a different perspective. That was it. He didn't say a lot. Hannon did not say a lot. He didn't have to. But what he did give me was facts. So you can feel however the hell you want to feel. But let's talk about facts. What would that do? He didn't even ask these things. I started to ask myself, what would that do for me? What would that do for him? What would that do for us? What would that do for the profession? What would that do? And before I even left that coffee shop, I already knew I had to go back to the better version of me. So I decided, Tupac, you're going to have to RIP again, bro. I put Tupac up and start playing Sounds of Blackness. You know the song. Check the playlist if you don't. And that changed everything. And I did my presentation, one of the best ones I've ever done. And at the end of it, standing ovation. And the first person to come hug me when I got off stage was that brother. Because he heard me. He knew it could have been him. And he gave me a hug. And I had little tattoo tears inside, but I didn't let them come out because I was cried out. I was all cried out. I ain't had no more to give. But it was enough. Just the acknowledgement of, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I fucked all that up. But I was right. He was right. I am him, and I knew I was, and he knew that I was. Nobody could deny it at that moment. And he asked me something that I've been waiting for 17 years to ask. Hey, man, what you doing after the deal? And I'm like, man, I'm here. Let's link up for drinks. Done. Done. It was one of the happiest moments because I finally get to hang out with my mentor. I finally get to hang out. I finally get invited. I finally get to be a part of this person's life. He let me in. And it was a powerful moment we had together. And this other side of where I am, recognizing who I am, whose I am, and knowing that what I felt for 17 years was right and was real, but I had no validation or evidence besides what I saw, was confirmed by what he said. And he shared with me his truth. He shared with me what he was experiencing. He shared with me what was going on for him. He shared with me his own trauma, his own stuff. And both of us displayed a level of emotional intelligence that we both needed, wanted, and desired, and we embraced. And there were apologies on both ends. And there was amends made, and there was love, there was laugh. There, we broke bread, we drank, we got right. We got Cooter Brown great granddaddy. Because there are levels. There are levels. Cooter Brown daddy, Cooter Brown granddaddy, Cooter Brown great granddaddy. We was on that level by the end of the night. And it's all I ever wanted. And he made it right. He made it right. That doesn't happen often. You know, oftentimes we're abused, or been abused, or been hurt by people who never acknowledge, who never apologize, who may die or disappear. You never get that full circle moment. I'm thankful I got it. Although it took 17 years, I got it. I don't need anything else. Because what I needed, I could only give myself. Who I needed to see and be was only me. I know who I am. I know whose I am. And everybody else does too. Because when your light shines, it's hard for anybody to dim it, even though they try. They try to dim it because their own light is dim, because somebody dimmed their light. It doesn't just happen. Something happened to them too. When you know that, you can have empathy. When you know that, you can have forgiveness. When you know that, you can apologize. When you know that, you can make it right. So if you hurt someone, or if you've been hurt, it's never too late to make it right with yourself first, then make it right with someone else. It could be all three versions of you. It could be them. It could be whatever. It's never too late. That brother changed my life in more ways than one. And now we're on great terms. We're good. All is well. All is forgiven. That person will always remain nameless because no one needs to know. You know the story. You know my experience. You know my truth. Keep it to yourself. Hopefully my story gives you an opportunity to embrace who you really are, to step away from who you used to be, and to become the best version of you possible. Because you are him. You are her. You are them. You are they. You are a person. You are everything. You have to start giving yourself permission to be just that. This has been another episode of the Three Parallels podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, and we make room for who we're trying to become. If this episode has done anything for you, do something with it. Do something about it. Make a decision. Say things you've never said. Do things you've never done. Make it right. Apologize. Be honest. Be authentic. Be transparent. Be vulnerable. Be you.
Feeling overwhelmed? Searching for someone who truly gets it? At J. Branch & Associates, we provide mental health support for BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others facing unique challenges. We understand the weight of generational trauma, the struggles of identity, and the pressures of being a part of an underestimated and overlooked group. At J. Branch & Associates, therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We create a safe, culturally aware space where you can feel seen, heard, and understood. Finding a therapist who truly fits you matters, and that's exactly what we're here for. Our team of highly trained licensed therapists bring compassion, empathy, and real-world experience to help you on your journey to healing and growth. We're committed to helping you become the best version of yourself. Ready to take the next step? Visit us at www.drjbranch.com for more information, or call or text 404-436-2540 to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. You can also book your first session today. Thank you for choosing J. Branch & Associates, therapists of color providing exceptional care to BIPOC communities, quality service, exceptional care from authentic professionals.